Music channel Josh Real Music. Today we're going to be ranking all Mudvayne albums. This ranking will be extremely controversial. I love Mudvayne. I think they're one of the best new metal bands, period. When we get into the ranking of these albums, that is where I'm pretty sure some of y'all may end up hating me. Let's start with the beginning of All Things to End. It's very heavy. This is an album that I would love to see re-recorded. It's very true to the LD50 sound and the End of All Things to Come. One of their better releases. It's an egg. It's really good. If you like LD50, definitely check out the beginning of All Things End. Up next is going to be Mudvayne's LD50. Definitely an S tier album. This album is perfect. I would say this is the most non-controversial Mudvayne album. What's really interesting with the Mudvayne fan base is how pretty much every other album other than LD50, there's a lot of different opinions on, different controversy. But this is the one album where, hands down, everyone is just like, oh, it's so awesome. If you've never heard Mudvayne, LD50 is a fantastic intro album. I definitely recommend that to start with. I was into new metal when this album came out. This was my intro album to Mudvayne back in 2000, and I've really been a fan of them ever since. So after LD50 was released was their follow-up, The End of All Things to Come. Again, for me, this is going to be an S tier album, and I will rank these at the end of the video. This album is definitely S tier. To me, this is an extremely underrated album. I don't really understand, to be honest, why some people don't like this album. I think it's definitely as strong as LD50. This is actually probably one of the last CDs I owned. And I really enjoyed this album when it came out back in 2002. But I'd say that now in 2022, I actually like this album even more than I did back in 2002, which I just found interesting. For any of the viewers that didn't like this album back in the day, like, please go back and listen to this album and see what you think about it now. I'd be curious to see if you feel differently. And then also, I know plenty of people that have loved this album from the start, but this is one that I'd say, like, if you haven't heard it in the past year or more, definitely go back and listen to it. Yeah, the next one I'm going to be talking about is Lost and Found, which came out after The End of All Things to Come. From here on out, my ranking is going to be extremely controversial because I don't even know that it's really my ranking, but the fan base is extremely divided on these next three records,